It was one of those evenings that begin with silence, but end with the kind of noise you never forget. Not the loud chaos of arguments or the chatter of guests, but the storm inside your own heart. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the quiet of my room. The world outside felt distant, muffled by the soft hum of the ceiling fan. I had always believed my life was predictable, maybe even safe, but life has its own way of testing us when we least expect it. The story begins not in that room, but years earlier. I had been in a marriage that looked perfect from the outside. Smiles for photographs, polite conversations at family dinners, and gestures that hinted at warmth but never carried enough to ignite true fire. Inside, though, something was missing. The piece of me had been quietly starving for affection, for understanding, for the kind of presence that sees beyond duty and steps into intimacy. For years, I tried to silence that ache. I told myself I had everything: stability, a home, respect from people around me. Yet in the quietest moments, when the world wasn't watching, I could feel my heart pressing against its own cage. And then came that night. My son, grown now, a man in his own right, had returned from the city after years away. He wasn't a child anymore, not the boy who once clung to my arm during thunderstorms, but someone different. Time had carved strength into his face, experience into his eyes, and a strange, unfamiliar distance between us. Dinner was quiet, filled with small talk. Yet beneath the surface, I sensed something unsaid, something waiting for air. When the dishes were cleared and the house slipped into silence, we sat across from each other in the living room. The lamps glowed faintly, shadows dancing along the walls, softening the air between us. He reached for my hand. First, I thought it was a simple gesture, an echo of childhood, a reminder of comfort. But there was something else in his touch, something searching. His fingers trembled slightly, as if carrying words he could not speak aloud. My heart raced, confused, resisting and yearning at once. I wasn't ready. I pulled back gently, but the silence that followed was louder than words. His eyes, filled with both fear and longing, held mine. It was then that I realized the truth. The bond we shared had grown complicated, shaped by absence, loneliness, and the unspoken voids that life had left between us. That night didn't end in confessions or forbidden lines. Instead, it ended in understanding. I told him gently that some feelings are too heavy to carry, that love must sometimes be redirected, not erased. Tears welled in his eyes, but he nodded, pressing my hand once more before letting go. In that moment, I wasn't angry. I wasn't ashamed. I was simply human, standing at the crossroads of longing and responsibility. And I knew infidelity isn't always about bodies crossing boundaries. Sometimes it's about hearts wandering into places they shouldn't stay. What came next wasn't what either of us expected. We spent the rest of the night talking, not about love, not about what had almost been, but about life, about dreams, about forgiveness. Somewhere in those hours, the tension softened. The storm calmed. And we both walked away knowing we had chosen a harder but purer path. The truth is, my story isn't one of scandal. It's one of temptation, of confronting the parts of ourselves we rarely admit to others. That night taught me that infidelity doesn't always end in destruction. Sometimes it ends in clarity, in drawing lines that protect what matters most. And though the memory of that trembling hand will never leave me, neither will the strength I found in letting go. Life moved forward. I carried the weight of that night quietly, tucked away in the folds of memory. But whenever silence wraps around me again, I remember, the heart is fragile, the lines are thin, but the choices we make can define us forever.